If you're looking for an absolute work of art to go after tarpon with, the Gause Boats 26 is definitely one of the boats you have to look at. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. We did a video with these guys a while back here in Tampa, Florida, but we actually flew back again because this thing is loaded up with Sharrow props. It's got power poles, Seakeeper Ride system, Porta Bracket on the back, and we actually have representatives from each individual company to speak to us in detail about what kind of impact their product makes on the Gause 26. So this is going to be something a bit unique. We're excited about it. The weather's absolutely perfect, and just check this out. We got 3 beautiful Gause 26 to work with today. Let's make it happen. There he is.
Brother.
What's going on, man?
Doing good to see you.
Good to see you once again. How's everything?
Yeah. Lucas.
How are you? Alan.
It's got Forte.
Ah, Alan, nice to meet you.
The guys are bringing another chase boat.
Okay.
So we'll have 3 boats in the water.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So it's Porte? That's how we do this?
That's right.
Yes.
All right.
They call us Porta and we don't mind.
Yeah, no.
Do business with us.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, nice to meet you. I've obviously seen your products for a very long time. It'd be nice to play with it a little bit more and learn from you directly, you know, so.
Very good. Well, you couldn't have chosen a better platform.
Yeah. No, these things are gorgeous. Yeah, we came out here once before, spent same thing, a day with the guys with a couple boats and fell in love with it, you know, so. Heard about the Gause boats forever. Obviously, they have this great reputation behind them. So that was our first look at it, and this is our second. Hopefully get a little bit more in depth with it, and be nice to talk to you guys about the different products and how they contribute to, you know, the performance of this boat.
Very cool.
So we have several objectives today. One, obviously we want to check out the Gause 26 boats. We got 3 beautiful boats to check out today, which is incredibly nice. But again, I mentioned we have Sharrow Props. We got 2 guys representing the group there today. So we have 2 different boats. This one in particular does not have the Sharrow Prop system on it. The other boat does. Basically identical setup otherwise. So we're going to play around with the performance numbers and see what the differences really are. All right, so we have the V10 400 pinned right now. We're doing about 52 miles an hour. So plenty of speed with a single engine, and that Porta Bracket is at 41.5%. And that linear actuator, which we're going to show you, they actually have that little section put up on the Garmin, so it's nice to be able to tell exactly where your Porta Bracket's at. I wanted to test the performance numbers. We did get about 2.65 miles per gallon running at 35 miles an hour, and we were doing about 3,900 RPM, I believe. And that, Mark, what kind of prop do you have on this?
That is the Mercury Inertia Eco 1618.
Okay, so there you go. We have a comparison to make now. Once we jump on the Sharrow boat, we'll do the same, kind of run the same mile an hour and see what the actual differences are. They speak volumes about it here at Gause Boats, so we're gonna get to see it in real life, so it should be exciting. All right, so now we have 3 boats. Again, we are on the traditional propped boats. This one is identical to us, and this is another beauty in white with a blacked out V10 400 on it. They all have the V10 400s on it. So we'll be able to see the different options. This one has the collapsible tower. This has, Mark, what was this one called again? Half tower. So you have different options, and you can go with no tower. They have one at the shop with no tower at all. So they're semi-custom. You can do quite a bit of what you want. Everyone has a little bit of the personality of the specific owner. So it's cool to see, you know, the different options here in person. All right, why don't we set up and get some of those beauty shots before the sun gets too high on us. You want to get this boat?
But you want to do the drone first?
But you get the drone up first, yeah?
Drone first, and then I'll do the cover. We'll stay back and try to get out of the drone shot.
Okay.
Just direct the hip.
All right, drone first. All right, what we'd like to do before the sun gets too high is get the beauty shots of the boat. You usually get, you know, that bit of sun broadside, so it makes that gel coat or paint pop. As you can see it right there, we got the shade on the starboard side, a little bit of sun on that port side. So we want to be able to get that beauty shot to really capture what these boats look like here in person, which, you know, we do the best we can to pass that along to you guys. So just bringing you behind the scenes of how these things work. So it's cool to have this crowd and so many people involved in the shoot. It's not often that we get that. So I'm really excited to see what the different products do on this boat and get it from the pros point of view. You know, we only know so much. We're out here to learn just like you guys, and we try to pass that information along as best we can. All right, we're gonna do something a little bit interesting here, a bit of an exercise, if I may. We have the Mercury prop on this boat, we have the Sharrow prop on this boat, and the Mercury prop has been doing really well. The Sharrow prop is supposed to be better. So that's what we're testing out here today. Forward, we haven't seen the performance yet, but I hear that this thing in reverse really excels as well. So we're gonna actually go both boats in reverse, like if we're backing down on a fish, and then we're gonna break away in opposite directions to see which one takes the lead. So interesting exercise. Let's see how it goes. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Cut it. Looks like they got us. They got us good on that one. So there it was. Looks like they got us pretty good on that one. So it was pretty impressive, the difference between the two. We did really well with the Mercury prop, but that thing, you got us good that time.
I was feathering at the first.
Yeah, you were just playing with it. Weren't having it on the second one. How did that look, Jason?
Got it.
You want to be behind him or I know, you can do a whole shot. I got the money on that one.
Now we're going to be testing the whole shot. Ready? 3, 2, 1. You can see right off the bat that the Sharrow prop had a little better of a hole shot, but once it topped out, the Mercury prop seemed to gain on the other boat overall. We have to note that supposedly the Sharrow prop was not dialed in exactly, so this isn't a proper test, but you do get an idea of what we had to work with on this day. So it looked like the Sharrow prop had a little more low end torque, but the Mercury prop gave a little bit more when it came to the top end.
Oh.
Jack plate?
Once we were running, yeah.
Yeah, I did. As soon as I started doing it, I picked up like 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
All right, so we just switched boats now. You got all the main men here from everywhere. We got Dave from Gause. We have Scott from Porta. We got Lucas. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, powerful. And we got Kendall from Seakeeper Ride. So we're gonna go one by one and see what, I guess, learn about the product and see how it affects the Gause Built 26. So we're gonna start now with Kendall. You're up to bat. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Seakeeper Ride system for those that are not familiar with it at first, and then we'll get into, how it affects, the ride on this boat in particular.
Perfect. So for those of y'all who aren't familiar, Seakeeper Ride is a vessel attitude control system, basically an automatic trim tab system that you get a heck of a lot more out of on the back end. It's fully automatic, so when the key system comes on, the system is going to start feeling how the boat's behaving. At 10 miles an hour, system's going to really come alive. You shouldn't have to make an adjustment from there on if you don't need to. We do have the ability to make some fine-tune adjustments, really tailor it to the captain's tastes. But like I said, out of the box, should be applicable for about 80% of your current mark.
Really? So you don't have to calibrate it at any point? You're basically installing it and going, or it's
Yeah, there's an
Really?
initial calibration we'll do at the factory, but when it comes to customer facing, you should be able
Gotcha.
to pick up the boat from the dealer or the factory and you're good to go right out of the box.
Gotcha. So I've personally experienced it quite a bit. We went out to Atlantic City when before they released them. We had the honor of being part of that and kind of learning about it early on, and it's unbelievable. I mean, compared to, but beyond being automatic, it's like Andrew was saying over there, the idea of just being able to set it and forget it is fantastic. Whether you know how to run a boat or not, you're gonna run a boat well with that thing, and it'll make a boat that does not ride well. So if you get a boat that rides well and you add that, I mean, it's like a Cadillac out on the water. And really tell people you have to experience it yourself to really understand, because they ask, hey, what could you compare it to? And I'm like, a hovercraft? I don't know. I don't really know what else to put it towards. So it takes all the roll out of it, the pitch out of it, so the boat really just kind of cruises like that. And we don't have a really rough day here, but hopefully we can show kind of the difference. And this is a nice riding boat. Last time, I don't know, did this last boat have the Seakeeper Rides on it?
No, these are the first couple of boats
okay.
that we've installed it on.
Yeah, so I was really impressed with the ride last time. So again, we did a brief demonstration there with Mark while we were just messing with the boat, and you notice a bit of a difference. But on any boat, it's an incredible product. So let's see if we can run with it. And what's been your, I guess, experience on these two boats, on this boat in particular?
Yeah, well, right out of the gate, I mean, the first ride they took us on to kind of get an idea of how well it adapted to our boat was incredible. We were a super rough day, and there was, I think, 5 people on the boat that day, and we were out in open water, and it is really incredible. I mean, especially for a tower boat. I mean, our boat doesn't, the shape of the bottom of the boat is already very stable underway, but this is just a game changer. And like you know, that product and some of these other new technology products, it just makes it so much easier for the customer to, you know, get in the boat and really be able to make it perform at its best without really, you know, having a learning curve.
Yep.
So that's
I think it gets you more days out on the water too.
Yeah.
I mean, and game changer, that word you mentioned there, some people tend to use that loosely in my experience, but Seakeeper, I have to say, between the gyro and the Seakeeper Ride, is a legitimate game changer. It'll get a boat that, you know, shouldn't be out on the water on a rough day, and you'll get out with these Seakeeper products and you'll be just fine.
Absolutely.
So I see it as more days out on the water. You know, it's an investment in the boat, but I mean, it's worth it. I mean, you're getting your money's worth in every single Seakeeper product. So yeah, let's run the boat a little bit and see if we can notice a difference. Again, it's not a rough day today, but maybe we can notice kind of the on and off. So let's mess with it. All right, Dave, so it's engaged right now. You see you have this little control panel right here. How do you engage it? How do you disengage it? What do you do with this thing?
So it's key on, it's in auto mode, so there's nothing that
Ignition on, it's on automatically.
Yep, right out of the gate. So if you wanted it off for whatever reason, I can't imagine somebody wanting it off, but you just push the center button, turns it off. You can see it. It's changing a little bit.
You notice we got a little bit more weight over to the port side. We had that adjustment.
Get a little bit more kind of rocking back and forth. Like we said, it's
Right.
a terribly rough or windy day. It's a nice day today. Click it back in automatic and it settles down pretty quick. It's out.
There you go. You notice how it leveled us out there immediately? And it just smooths out the ride completely. And as Andrew told me in Atlantic City, the idea is to have this just like your car. Turn on the car and you're not really touching anything. It's on automatically, and like Dave said, I can't imagine why anybody would turn it off other than a demonstration purpose. Otherwise, you're leaving that thing on the whole day.
You see the chase boat over here, that does not have the Seakeeper. And you can see how the bow's kind of going up and down a little bit with the wave action, where we're staying much steadier than that.
Yeah. That really is impressive what it does.
Something else to note on the Seakeeper Ride system is that it's taking 1,000 measurements every second, so it's pretty much an instantaneous reading as your sea stage changing or as weight or proportions are changing on your boat. So as we're coming around here across the wake, you notice that the system is still in control. We went from a quartering sea to a dead beam on to come across the wake. The system recognizes that almost instantaneously. Like I mentioned, it's 1,000 readings every second. So the controllers on the back of the boat can output 100 corrections every second. So it's significantly faster than you can run a traditional set of tabs, significantly faster than you can even think to run the traditional tabs.
That's incredible. What I thought with this system is that, you know, coming in through Haulover Inlet or something in a big following sea, like, that thing is going to bury you badly. We did it the other day, not out of Haulover, we were out of Port Everglades, and it was rough. I mean, nasty. During the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, running a 25-foot center console, and this thing figures out how to, you know, trim you back, and that we ran in perfectly fine, and they didn't touch a thing. It was absolutely incredible. So the fact that it can learn, I guess, the sea conditions and how that boat's going to perform is amazing to me, and how it does it so quick that you don't even notice the reaction time.
Takes all the guesswork out of operating your boat. If you've got anglers out with lines out, or you got your family, your children running around, takes all of that guesswork out. You can have a sound mind that your boat's going to perform well, stay safe and level, and stay comfortable for everybody on board.
Yeah. I can say as well, you got some of the old guys that have been, you know, chartering for 30 years, and I like the traditional tab. You have to try this thing to understand. Again, it's not like overpowering you. It doesn't feel like you have really anything correcting the boat. It just seems like the boat is running phenomenally well. So if I would feel something fighting me all day, I would be bothered by it. But you don't notice a thing.
Absolutely. Something else for your older, saltier guys as well. There's 3 main modes that you can run our system in. Right now we have it in fully automatic mode, and it's performing wonderfully. On top of the automatic mode, the keypad you saw on the console gives us the ability to put in minute inputs to a changing sea state. So like Alan mentioned, if you're running out Haulover and you got spray coming over the port side of your boat, you can tilt the whole boat over by a couple of degrees to keep that spray down, keep you drier, but you'll still keep all of your auto leveling that the system is doing. Alternatively, if you wanted to, like David said, for some reason, you could run the system in fully automatic mode, very similar to traditional set of trim tabs.
Gotcha. Oh, so you could have like a traditional setup where you are adjusting the tabs manually?
Yes, sir. In manual mode,
I wasn't aware of that.
It's like a traditional set of tabs.
You can tab it down to one side to lean away from the wind to keep the spray.
And it'll stay like that until you put it back in the automated mode? Okay.
And it'll keep it level, and it's doing all those same functions, just not level with the ocean.
Very cool. Yeah, so it's got a little something for everybody, which again, you have some of these, like I say, saltier guys that don't really accept technology very easily. But man, it makes your life so much easier, more comfortable. And if you're chartering and doing that sort of thing for your clients, people that you're taking on board, it changes your day out completely. So again, I'm not saying it because you guys are here. It's for real. I've experienced this quite a bit, and it's incredibly impressive what these things could do. And then, you know, again, going deeper, combining the gyro with this is insane. Yeah, we experienced quite a bit over at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show when it was blowing 25 knots the whole week. Did several sea trials, and out on the 25-footer, have no business out there in the 25-footer that week. And man, we could have fished that day, no problem. That's the way I see it. It was like a day that you would not go out. You can actually go out and fish if you really want to, and comfortably. It wasn't uncomfortable at all. So, very cool.
Very that rides home. It's when I go into a turn now, it really kind of leans into it and locks in better, where that longer trim tab is keeping the back of the boat from really pivoting on its natural shape. This gets out of the way. It's out of the way when you need it to be much more reactive and predictable.
All right, so now we're gonna talk power pole. Most of you know what this product is by now. We've used it on our boat. We have it on our boat right now. We're fans of the product. I have Lucas here from Power Pole. Thank you very much for being part of this with us. And I want you to maybe start with explaining what the Power Pole system is, maybe where you started, and we'll continue off from there.
Great. Well, this is our Power Pole blade shallow water anchors. We have dual setup here, which is great. Obviously keeps your boat from spinning, if you're anchoring kind of into a side current. One thing specific about this is we've partnered with Porta to have a special bracket. So it's nice and custom, it's tight, it's clean. There's no additional sandwich brackets needed or anything like that. It looks really good. And yeah, so 2 pumps on this boat, but we can also get it with a single 1 pump, so you can have less space, less noise and all that. It works conveniently. You can have a switch at your dash. You can wear one around your neck, especially if you're going to do it with a trolling motor control. The Blade series is our strongest hold, designed to be aerodynamic and take weight off your transom. So
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys haven't tried this out yet, I mean, obviously you're used to throwing an anchor. We're in how many feet of water here?
About
3
3
4 feet. So it really doesn't get much nicer than to pull up into an area, whether you're going to fish the area or just drop, you know, into a sandbar with your family. You know, here we got the Porta Bracket, so you can lift this thing up, get your prop away from the ground, and then just drop those power poles down, and that's it. You know, you're in action. And this was pretty cool. I think it was Dave, one of the guys, mentioned that they were using the Porta Bracket to be able to adjust the height and depth that you're capable of reaching with the smaller power poles.
Yeah, so we have our 8-foot here. We make 10-foot as well, but with the 8-foot, if you want to go ahead and lower that Porta Bracket, you can kind of get some extra distance out of it. You know, if you're stretching to fish some 8-9-foot water, you can do it.
Yeah, true. Offer maybe if you're fishing off the back of the boat here, you can also drop the bracket down, get them a little bit, you know, further out of the way, so they don't, you know, encumber your fishing space and your lines. But incredible product. I've been a huge fan of it for a long time. One thing that I hear about the company, which I'll just mention to you, is the service is like top notch.
Appreciate it.
You imagine these things are in salt water all the time. They get beaten up. There's going to be issues from time to time, but the one thing I keep hearing over and over and over, that PowerPole has the best service of anyone around. So congratulations on that. I just wanted to relay it because I've heard it so many times. It's almost made me sick. I was like, yeah, I get it. These guys are great.
We like to exceed expectations when it comes to that. That's a joy for us. But yeah, we manufacture right in Tampa. We make these in the USA. We powder coat these here in Tampa. So, you know, it was a little journey for me to here, but it's right here, locally made, locally engineered.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool products.
Yeah, great idea, great product. You know, breeze to use, and again, it makes boating easier, more comfortable. Yeah. You know, so I really enjoy it. We've had it on our boats for a while, and you know, with this type of boat specifically, it's perfect.
Nice.
So I hear you guys got some other stuff
we do
that we've released that we've heard about recently. So why don't we run up to the bow and check that thing out?
Perfect.
I'll share something with you guys that maybe probably none of you know. But we were the first ones to mount the power poles on the Porta Bracket.
Oh, really?
And one of my friends that I grew up with here in Tarpon Springs had a CNC shop, and he made the first brackets, transom brackets for you guys.
Nice.
The ones out of stainless, that first gen.
Perfect
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Small world.
Yep.
It takes a crew to get it all figured out, right?
Yep.
Oh, that came out awesome. I love the ability of being able to raise it and drop it. Not something even crossed my mind until you guys mentioned it.
And something really cool that I want to mention and you know, thank all of these guys for is just the ability to work directly with these companies and help develop their new ideas. So Scott with Porta and PowerPole got together and started working to integrate the mounting to the Porta Bracket, and they were using us as a prototype setup and testing for the original brackets, and they made some adjustments based on our feedback, and it's been awesome.
Yeah,
a lot,
very good.
Way easier setup, and then, you know, for any future repairs and stuff like that and integration, it's going to be a lot easier to work with for sure.
Yeah, it's good to see, you know, good people in the industry getting together to put together a better product that's going to help everybody, you know. Yeah. So, good to see.
Perfect.
Very well done. Congrats.
Thanks.
These, you know, talking about the power pole option for the Porta Bracket, it's 6 holes that we put in the bracket for power pole. So when you're checking off the boxes of the options you want on a Porta Bracket, when you order it, if you want it power pole ready, you can get it for one side or both sides, and you just check the box, and it's no extra charge. It's just 6 holes.
Yeah.
But the engineering, you know, we provided them with a bracket and all of our travel and all of our models, and they engineered this stuff to work from every single bracket that we build, and it greatly reduced the number of pieces of their wing system that they were having to use on the Porta Bracket.
Yeah.
Put the power poles in the water.
This bracket coming off of the Porta Bracket is universal, or that would be custom built depending on the transom of the boat? Are those different?
You'll have to answer that.
Well,
That comes from you guys.
The adapter plates, yeah. So these are the power pole adapter plates that are
adapter
specific
plates, there you go.
for Porta. So, and they're braced, so they're extra strong. So we know they're going on bigger boats. We know they're probably going to have 10-foot in a lot of cases. So we wanted some really big strength and good metal back there. But yeah, you can see how we sandwich our two braces together into that Porta bracket and then onto our power pole. Yeah, it fits all motor configurations, this one setup. So we don't have to have multiple Porta.
So you're
Gotcha, that was a
Yeah.
question.
one
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
All right, Lucas, working our way up to the bow. You guys recently, how long ago? Not too long ago, released the Move.
Yeah, the
Trolling
Move PV started shipping around 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But this offshore edition we just launched has started shipping like 2 weeks ago. So this is very new. So
Gotcha.
yeah, we've had up to the 72-inch models in the market since about March 22. But
Now you're
this
doing what,
new
so like 110 or something
84,
big?
96, and 110 inch.
Yep.
So yeah, the you know, the flats anglers, the bay anglers, they loved the Move and they loved the quietness, the power and everything, but the guys with the higher bows were screaming, where's ours? So we finally been able to answer that. There's some key things that we did to change it up. So first off is when you get that longer shaft, you need to increase its rigidity, because if it flexes too much, you lose your thrust.
Right.
And so we reinforced it with carbon, a carbon tube, and we thickened the titanium. So still have a lifetime warranty on it. But what's great is, 100 true pounds of thrust can hold this, boat quite easily, and even up to 47-foot boats. But we're finding that with this motor, we're getting nearly twice as much actual thrust in the water than other motors. So
Really?
we're excited for that, and the precise anchoring, whether you're, using this on the flats to throw a cast net, you need the stealthiness, but then when you get offshore, maybe you need to stay right on a spot. The precise GPS anchoring of this is very good. So keep you nice and tight.
Yeah, that's something I personally haven't experienced much of, and I'd love to. I mean, I've done a bunch of fishing in my life, deep dropping and all that sort of thing, and we used to always have to repeatedly set up drifts and drop everything. All right, then do it all again. So, I mean, this is like almost spoiling you to be able to lock your position and just stay there, especially on these bigger center comps.
Or even worse, throwing an anchor in a several hundred feet of water.
Yeah, forget it.
Now this. So the way we deploy this motor, they have a custom bracket on it. So turn it, lock it into place. Perfect, just like that. And then pull the handle, lift it up, and now the motor will release the shaft nice and easy down the water. Give it the alignment. Locks back in place. Now when you're driving the motor up here, we've got a convenient display right here. So this is going to show your thrust that you're in. If you're in navigation mode like anchor or heading, all that's right there for you. But the thing about this motor that separates it from others is not quiet, it's silent. So as you're driving this motor, you won't hear it. So as you're steering it, there's no sound. So, but very powerful. Very easy to use. We also do make a small separate dash display that can be located at a dash to keep the person who wants to stay in the shade, informed of everything that's going on with the motor.
Very nice. Yeah, you can see the strength of this. I mean, it looks like a heavy duty product. And yeah, when you're turning that thing, I mean, I like to give it a spin just to see, and we can put those power poles up and just give it a quick little run around to see how silent it actually is, and you can control all that. You got the power poles connected right there?
Yeah, so I just power pulled up. So double click of the power pull up button, and now I have the control right here with the motor. You can see my thrust.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, nice and easy. But yeah, we can get you moving pretty good.
What kind of speed do you get with this?
I haven't ran it on this boat. We definitely have the wind helping us at the time.
We're going with the wind here, but
for some bass boats, you're looking at 3-4 miles an hour. Some flat boats even higher. I have one on my kayak. It does about 6.5, 7 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh. But yeah, this has been a nice addition to Power Pole. I mean, we've been total boat control forever, but we've really only controlled the transoms. And so now we're, prop to prop, and we have a full offering for boat control.
Yeah, it's nice to see you guys getting into this, and we actually spoke with a couple of people in your group about possibly getting one ourselves. So I'd love to be able to get into it more, learn about it more, and hopefully those watching, you know, get some good information here and can give us some feedback as well from what their experience has been with the Power Pole products. So cool, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and congrats on the saltwater. What is the name of this?
This is the Move PV Offshore Edition.
Offshore Edition.
8496 and 110 inch. So.
All right, very nice. So now I'm sitting here with Scott Porte from the famous Porta Bracket. A lot of us may have called him Porta Brackets forever. It's actually Porte. Found that out today and met the man himself, never met before. And we've had some great conversations already, and I've been very interested in learning how the Porta Bracket came about. How'd you come up with this idea? And let's start from there and then work into how it affects the Gause Built 26.
Well, we're going to go back into the 1980s then. And I was a commercial fisherman, and we had a couple different kinds of boats. We'd go out for pompano in the ocean and fish with a rough water boat out there that drew a good bit of water, and then we would put the net in a bow rigger boat that actually had the engine up in the front and run in the shallow water in the lagoon over here on the east coast of Florida in Mosquito Lagoon for the trout and the bass in the wintertime. So I was always irritated because all we needed to do is move the motor up and down to be able to use the same boat offshore and inshore. And that was where I conceived the idea, and that was right along the time that they started banning the nets. And what they did was, for the commercial fishermen, the way they squeezed us out of the business was they started saying, well, you had to have lights on your nets, and then you had to stay with your nets all night long. And then they started shortening the amount of nets. So pretty soon it got to where you couldn't make a living out there. And rightfully so. You know, I'm not angry about it. It's just a part of life. So the next thing that happened was I thought, well, offshore racing is going to be the best place for me to show how strong this thing is. So I bought an offshore race boat and had a friend of mine that raced offshore, and he taught me how to run the boat, and we set this thing up and went out and raced, and it turned out to be so robust that we didn't break them on the race course. And that's what I was after. I wanted to run it in the worst conditions we could possibly have. So the next thing, we did get them on some other commercial fishing boats along the way. The crab guys and stuff run them in shallow water. And what we have is that we've got quite a few different setbacks, quite a few different ranges of vertical travel. This system here is a 21-inch setback with 15 inches of vertical travel. That's enough travel to get your gear case hidden behind the transom of the boat and the diameter of your propeller. So when you're in shallow water, you run the bracket up, you're still getting plenty of water because the gear case is still submerged, but your thrust is pushing straight on the back of the boat. So when you're in shallow water, the stuff you're trying to get over, you slide across the top of it. So if your boat will float in it, you'll be able to navigate in it. And because your prop shaft is horizontal, when you use reverse and you turn the wheel, the boat works in reverse, even though it's behind the transom and it's back there with clean water. It's not churning up the water and chewing up the ground. And the same thing in forward, you have your steering control in forward and reverse that you completely lose when you begin to tilt your motor.
Right.
That's the big deal, especially on a Gause Built boat. This thing has this low speed plus, navigating in the shallow water. And then on the top end, just like power trim is, you adjust the trim while you're running, and you watch your tachometer and you watch your speedometer, and you find that sweet spot where you're getting the most speed out of the least amount of RPMs. So that's where you're going to get the best economy when you're running the boat. When you add the vertical component that the Porta Bracket adds, then what happens is you're taking an arc of adjustment that is helping for the trim, and it's a slight arc, but for the sake of conversation, you have this vertical line. So you combine these two, and you get a sum that's greater than the two parts on their own. So if you just had a bracket that moved your engine up and down and you had no trim, you would see the benefits and you'd see the increase in speed and performance, and then you'd see it fall off if you got too high. Same thing with trim. If you have it all by itself, it increases performance to a point, and then it starts to fall off because you get too high. But when you combine the two, you get a plane of adjustment that allows you to put the gear case and the thrust anywhere behind the boat at any angle. So people who have experienced the speed that power trim makes happen out of a boat, when you add the Porta Bracket in, it's the two together that make this thing it's a multiple rather than just an addition of two components. And that's one of the it's one of these things that got handed to us in the design, and we've got a lot of special features that make this thing the most robust system out there, and there's a lot of benefits. We've got great partnerships with Power Pole, and we make this thing Power Pole ready for their application, and you just check a box on our website when you're putting all the attributes of your boat and your requirements and your engine and shaft length and boat length and horsepower in there, so we can give you a model number that's perfect for your application. And we have 43 standard models and an untold number of custom models. We've got these things with twin engines, we've got 3 engines, we've got 4 engines, we've even got 5 engine brackets out there.
Really?
We've got them, on 42 footers. We've got a 52-foot Viking that's getting 4 of the new 600 Mercuries on one bracket.
No way.
And you push one button, and these motors are going to go up 22 inches.
That much weight.
That's right.
That's incredible.
So they're going to be able to run the engines and clamp bracket assemblies completely out of the water, and in lively marinas, in places where you get a lot of growth and stuff like that, you get to take good care of the motor.
Yeah, I remember roughly the first time I saw a Porta Bracket, and I remember saying, I was like, whoever invented this was a genius, because no matter what naval architect or what boat design, I mean, I guess if you're going to put an Armstrong bracket, you could play with that height a little bit, and it's going to be a long process to do that research and get that boat in the water and test it to make sure you got the right height, the shaft length. Are you going 25 inch, 20 inch? There's so many variables that can affect the cruising potential of any specific hull, that this seems to be the only system that exists out there that I've seen where you can play with every single angle from, every degree of height vertically to, the standard trim that we're used to playing with, in a traditional Euro transom boat where you can't change that height at all, except for that lower unit shaft length. So to be able to play with it, I almost feel like, you could really maximize the potential of any hull by having this system on it, because you can tweak so many different, potential options with height and trim. So
That's right.
Really cool. Again, I've always wanted to hear that story of where it came from, because I was like, there's always a cool story behind something like that. And I had no idea it had the power to hold, 6 outboards and that kind of weight and that kind of, thrust that's going to be pushed to throw a Viking around.
Well, one of the secrets to the robust nature of this design is we use extruded materials. And so our hinges are an extrusion that run all the way across the width of the bracket. And the horsepower rating goes up based on the width of the bracket. So we have these continuous load-bearing surfaces, and our hinge assemblies are pushed together with 5,000 pounds of pressure with high molecular weight polyethylene bearing material in there. Unlike a jack plate, we don't have any clearance between our bearing material and our hinge assembly. So the bracket is never loose on the boat. It doesn't bounce around. Your motor clamp bracket assembly doesn't bounce around. We've ran these offshore racing. We continue to run them in offshore racing and work boats and military boats. And when you push that button and you stop, that bracket stays where you put it, and it doesn't move until you tell it to. Jack plates,
There's no give at all.
That's right. And that's because we have a tremendous amount of pressure on the hinge assembly that you can't build a jack plate that way, otherwise they won't move. So what happens is with a conventional jack plate, and they're phenomenal products, and we like to say we pick up where the jack plate industry leaves off. Their maximum vertical travel is 6 inches across the board.
Right.
Every once in a while somebody will do something with an inch or two more, but it's rare. But the big thing is they serve a great purpose in the industry, and we made a kind of a pact with ourselves that
we weren't going to try and compete in that industry. We wanted to create our own. So we basically have the benefits of a big setback bracket with the benefits of extreme movement. Because of the design of the hinge and the way it fits together, a Porta bracket in the full down position and a jack plate in the full down position, we have more than 5 times the load bearing surface area engaged in our hinge as you have engaged in the jack plate. But what happens is, as you raise a jack plate and when you're running fast and you're running in rough water, the plate that is in the guillotine style jack plate exits the bearing material. So you start going in the wrong direction when you need the most strength and you need the most support. So you'll see in YouTube and stuff, you'll see the jack plates moving around. And when something moves, it moves the least amount it's ever going to move when you first buy it, and it continues to create more clearance as time goes on. And not too long after you own a jack plate, if you've got high horsepower on there, you are not able to move the jack plate while you're under full throttle. Full acceleration. So you have to let off and move the bracket. What happens with ours is our hinge assembly, the way it's designed, it actually becomes more engaged as you raise the product up, and the load bearing surface area becomes more than 10 times the amount that is in a jack plate that is fully extended up.
Wow.
So it's, I mean, you say you might be a genius and all that stuff. Maybe I was at one time.
It's a good idea.
But there were a lot of things that happened along the way, and I'd like to say we just kind of Forrest Gumped our way into some really, really cool physical properties, and it is a tough product. And I've been over backwards at 116 miles an hour and just destroyed the boat. And first thing I did when I got out of the hospital is I ran back and I looked at the boat to make sure the brackets weren't broken. And everything else was broken, but the brackets weren't.
Made it.
To come here and be a part of what David Gause has put together here, and with the guys at Sharrow and Seakeeper and Power Pole, we're all just part of an orchestra. And David Gause is one of those rare people that has, we've just figured out the number of years we've been doing stuff together. He's been buying product from me for 30 years. And if you look at his boat, you can look at his boat from 20 feet away and tell it's a work of art. And then when you get up and look at it, even the screw slots are lined up, and even the screws that are under the rub rail are measured and spaced where nobody will ever see them.
Yeah.
And the workmanship and the quality and the strength that he's built into these boats is just phenomenal. But the neat thing about David is, like he was saying earlier, is he cooperated and worked with Power Pole, and he did the same thing with me. David has played an incredible part in the evolution of the Porta bracket because we've been at it for so long, and he's the one that came along and said, "Hey Scott, you're getting a little corrosion around these stainless steel bolts against this aluminum, and if you use this new product called Tef Gel in there, then that'll cure that." And that's the kind of guy David is, and you can see it in his work and all of his products. He's never satisfied, and there's always some new gadget or some better way, and it's reflected in his boats. And the nice thing is all of us in the marine industry can help each other, and being able to set our egos aside and share this stuff, we all become winners. And it's been a fun ride with him. And this is the first time I've ridden on one of his boats, and it's been a pleasure being out on the water with all of this hardware. And the guy has built an incredibly impressive product, and I'm detail oriented, and it is overwhelming.
Yeah, sure is. You touched on something there that kind of hit home with me. Setting your ego aside and those relationships and helping each other. I think there are few people that accept that, and I think those, like you mentioned off camera, that maybe you're not a genius, but you got this idea and you've had help from people. That's similar to what we've had with Center Consoles Only. We came up with an idea and we've built relationships, and we've learned from people and listened to those who watch our stuff, and it's a similar evolution. And I think it's something to be admired. Where you came from and how far you've come with the Porta bracket to what you're building now. And again, you've brought your idea. you thought of something in the shower, you've listened to people, and you get yourself together with good guys like, you know, Dave and the group over here, and I'm sure plenty of others, the power pole guys, you know, being able to come up with that collaboration over there is fantastic. And those are all things that if you work together and help each other, and ultimately everybody ends up in a better place. And I wish more people were like that, to be honest. We've come across many that don't have that kind of way of thinking. So I can definitely appreciate that with you, and appreciate, you know, the whole background story. And it's been very nice to meet you as well. So, you know, keep it going, and hopefully we can get a boat together with one of these bad boys on the back to play with it too one day.
Well,
So.
incredible day on the water with folks that rarely get a chance to get together all at one time.
Glad we were able to make it happen.
Very good.
Man, looking at these Sharrow props, it almost makes you wonder how they even come up with something like this. Pretty crazy.
I remember suddenly these things showed up on Facebook. Everywhere you scroll to, you would get the Sharrow Propeller. And I'd look at this thing, and they're making these claims about, you know, large percentages of fuel economy, and you know, that the boat actually planes about 1,000 RPM earlier than a conventional propeller. And, you know, there's a lot of people making a lot of big claims, and you just kind of scroll by. And for the longest time I got that thing silly. It's got all this drag out here on the edges and everything. And
you look at it and you're like, there's no way that thing can work.
Yeah.
But what do we know? I mean,
so,
or at least myself.
I happened to meet the guys at Sharrow at their waterfront facility in Detroit, because I jumped on a boat with a 400 Merc on it that they were testing the Sharrows on for part of this Great Loop Challenge.
Okay.
So I jumped in the boat and ran the boat with this propeller for, you know, 443 miles until we got all the way around to Chicago. We went up Lake Huron and down Lake Michigan, and it was nasty water.
Really?
And so we got to Chicago, and then we switched back to the Mercury because we were going down the Chicago River, Illinois, and then into the Mississippi. It was a big storm, a lot of junk floating, and we didn't want to ruin their propeller. So I remember meeting them, and you know, Greg Sharrow and Jim Burns, and you know, and I'm looking at the propellers, and I'm telling them, "Your claims are so ridiculous." I said, "I modify bottoms on race boats, and I'm excited about a 2% gain in speed, and a 1G softer ride, and running surface design and stuff like that. And you guys are making, you know, 18, 20+% claims about reduction in fuel economy and everything." And I said, they're so big that they're unbelievable. And then they went out and tested, and they tested against another company's propeller, ran the tests, and I waited on shore because they wanted to keep the same number of people in the boat each time they ran. So then I get in the boat, and I hear about the differences, and you know, they've got all the data written out. And the one thing that I found about them is not only are their claims true, but the guys that are running this operation, the people that are working there, they're honest, and the props really do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
And then experiencing the propeller out in some nasty water in Lake Huron, running as hard as we can go through that stuff. The first thing I noticed about the propeller that's different from a conventional boat ride is when you're in kind of a quartering sea and you've got the rolls coming toward you, and you're going up that at an angle. There's just this little bit of sideways slip that happens in every boat as you're going up a wave at an angle, and you naturally steer out of it.
This kind of grabs hold a little more.
This thing tracked, and the term I kind of came up with for it is directional stability, and it was noticeable. So the boat, the neat thing about having, and you know, after the trip and everything, and spending time with Greg and Jim, learning about the physics that are going on here, you know, they explained to me, well, that's, you know, we have a reduced amount of slip because the water isn't sliding off of the blade like it is on a conventional blade.
Right.
They started explaining to me about the shape of the white water that comes out behind the motor, the noise reduction, the lower slip numbers, which in offshore racing we calculate slip on all of our propellers based on RPM and speed and gear ratio and propeller pitch, and that's a very important thing to a lot of people in the performance boat world. I discovered me being my age, being Mr. Go Fast Boat, and knowing about propellers, I discovered how much I didn't know when I started learning
Really?
what this thing does. So it's a very, very cool product. And if you see this, flare back here on the propellers they make.
Right.
There's this ring is actually removable, and you can change the flare on that to change the way your boat operates. If you need more transom lift, then you go with a bigger flare. And
They customize these per boat, right? Per brand of boat, per model of boat.
well, not really. What they do is they have this ring that's removable, and you just unbolt it and you put another one on. This was an older version here, but you almost can't see the line anyway. But it's machined, and the machine work is all CNC.
That's beautiful.
But I call it a programmable propeller. So no other propeller that's made can you switch that trim ring to change the operation of the boat, transom lift, and stuff like that. So they've got their technology in their hands and some things that none of us have ever experienced before. They also have a really robust blade out here, and they have less tendency to get destroyed if you run aground in shallow water and stuff. They also have an insurance policy that costs just a few dollars a month to insure your propeller.
Really?
If you damage it, they'll fix it. If you damage it beyond repair, they'll replace it.
Really?
On the website, you can go and read about all of these details where I'm not able to give you the numbers because I can't remember them.
Sure.
But my personal experience with the propellers on that single engine boat, or with the propeller on that single engine boat, was like, and I can't even say the word, but it's just like, wow. And I'm like, wow, I thought I knew everything. So what we did was we collaborated with Sharrow after I got the ride in this boat, and we did this perfect storm project with 3 400 Mercs, and the Sharrow Propeller combined with the Porta Bracket, we got 3 more miles an hour top end. And,
Oh, wow.
And all the economy numbers and all that stuff have been collected. And these guys they're very, very dedicated to making sure that their results are accurate and real and not taking advantage of anything. So when we switched the propellers from the stock ones to the Sharrows up in Portsmouth, what we did was we left the gear case height on the Porta Bracket the same, where it ran the best with the stock propellers on it. And so the top end, and that's all I care about is top end. These guys are, the real savings in this operating these propellers comes in the mid range, and your percentages, your fuel mileage is almost ridiculous.
I remember we came not too long ago and ran another Gause 26, and my first real experience with the Sharrow Prop. I'd seen them, and I've been intrigued by it because I like anybody that goes outside of the box and does something completely new. And that's why you say you maybe don't know, you didn't realize you didn't know that much, but it's only because these guys have completely revolutionized the propeller, completely. So they were speaking so highly about it that I was intrigued by it. I was like, okay, I'd like to see what this thing can do. And yeah, you definitely notice a difference in the ride itself. It's smooth, super smooth, and in reverse it's ridiculous how much different it is. And yeah, you're not running reverse too often, but it's noticeable. And I think we were doing close to a mile per gallon better on that last boat with the Sharrow prop compared to the traditional other prop that they had on the other boat. This one we found out that was not the right one for this one, so we couldn't do the side-by-side perfect comparison. Hopefully we can do that again another day or get the information from these guys. But it is impressive, and anybody that pushes the boundaries and tries to change things and isn't just riding the coattails of everyone else, I respect and appreciate. So we look forward to learning much more about these props and seeing where these guys push the industry too, because this is going to spark ideas with other groups and within their own organization, and I think we're going to see some pretty cool things in the future because of these guys' innovation. So
this is a giant leap. And us old school guys are hard to convince.
Yeah.
I had to have my hands on it to be convinced.
Yeah, definitely cool. All right, so we'd love to go above and beyond to get the shot here, and Eric is really testing the waters. 57 degrees, 59 degrees, to get a good shot of the Sharrow prop underwater. Maybe the power pole's deploying as well. Hopefully it looks cool to you guys at home. Hit the like, subscribe, and share button. You're gonna be seeing the view from up on top of the boat as well as underneath the water, so you can see how that pole kind of digs itself into the sand, and it can detect how hard that bottom is. It can be soft sand, it could be harder rock, and it'll know what to do. Pretty impressive. So Dave, obviously we came out here with an objective, basically to obviously check out, you know, the Gause 26, but we brought someone from, I guess, all the different products that ultimately you're choosing to incorporate in your boat.
Yes.
Maybe you can get into, you know, why you're deciding to do that.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I obviously appreciate the opportunity to work with companies that have, you know, real high quality products. I feel our boat is a good showcase for, you know, products of this high a caliber with the Porta Brackets, the Seakeeper Ride, Sharrow props, and power pole anchors and trolling motor. We're trying to, you know, utilize really high-end, high-performance products that are the most cutting edge in the industry. And, you know, we're just fortunate enough to have had, you know, really good relationships with these guys and, you know, put this together. And I think it's really good for all of us, you know, collective effort. All of these products make our overall product what it is. I mean, it's all about, you know, the integration and, you know, user-friendly products and all of that stuff and reliability. So
yeah, I mean, I was curious about it as well. Obviously I see, you know, the product that you guys put out as top tier. You know, this is a work of art floating on the water. And, you know, the way I see premium products, premium items, and someone that thinks the way that you do, you know, putting something out like this, you're going to associate yourself with the best. You want, You're growing a brand. You know, Gause is a brand that you're building, and you know, if you're anything, I'm sure, like I think the same way. I like to associate myself with just, you know, the top tier stuff, top quality stuff. You know, it's not about the money, how much money you're making on it, how much money we're making on it. It's putting together the ultimate boat, and that's what I see. You know, you're putting together here, and it was nice to actually get, you know, someone to represent each product, and we're able to dive into a little bit more and ultimately see what it does with this platform. I mean, I was super impressed with it last time. This time with, you know, the Seakeeper Ride system on it. You already had the Porta Bracket on it. We didn't have the power pole, I think, trolling motor on it last time. Not sure if we had the...
This is the first time I've been on the boat with the trolling motor. We just picked those up in the longer shaft version on Monday. So, yeah.
I said they just came out 2 weeks ago. I didn't know it was that fresh. So cool to be able to see it, you know, fresh out and into the industry, and you can tell what kind of quality product it is. So cool to see Power Pole doing it. You know, again, cool to see all this stuff come together on the Gause 26, and I appreciate you obviously bringing us out here to show the collaboration of it all, and having the whole team out here. It was cool. It was
really good to be able to have everybody and get everybody to commit to coming out and being a part of it. I mean, it's...
Oh, we were battling the hurricanes too. We had to cancel, postpone it, I guess, better said.
Yeah, we're all fortunate to be here today.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are doing all right, you know, through all that. It was a tough hurricane season for the West Coast for sure. So, amazing, man.
We appreciate you guys coming out and hanging with us and, you know, helping us do all of this, man. It's awesome.
Like I said, we like to see what's out there and put the good products out to the people, you know, I think that are worth looking at, and this is definitely something people need to look at. It's a lot of boats you see online, you see the videos, see the photography, but you need to see it in person. This is one of those that you got to see in person, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And when you do it, you'll really appreciate it. So, congrats again on a great product, on 25 plus years of doing it at your young age, and all the things that you've been able to pioneer that we heard about last time. So. It's been good starting a relationship with your whole team. Everybody's been absolutely phenomenal. So
thank you.
We look forward to coming back. So that concludes our day with Gause Boats on their beautiful 26, and not only one of them, we had 3 of them today. We had the whole crew out here, and we could not speak more highly about the entire team. For us, that means a lot. The group that's behind these boats and the way that they act, the way that they carry themselves, and the type of people they are speaks volumes on the product itself, in my personal opinion. On top of that, we had representation out here from Power Pole, we had Porta Bracket, we had Seakeeper Ride, and we had Sharrow Props. So we got to see all the products that make this thing even greater than what it was originally. And as they say, several of them said, it takes a village to be able to put together an amazing product. So the boat is one thing, and this one honestly is a work of art. If you're into that tarpon fishing or this style of boat, this is definitely one we recommend you check out. And Dave is a phenomenal boat builder, tremendous experience, over 25 years in Gause himself. We hope you enjoyed this thing. We had a lot of valuable information included in here. We learned a heck of a lot, and we hope you guys did too. So like, subscribe, pass this along to any friends and family that you feel would gain some value from what we did here today, and we certainly appreciate it. My name is Alan with Center Consoles Only, and we'll see you again soon.